So the first thing you might be asking yourself, why the fuck does this motherfucker have a fucking mask on when we've seen his face multiple times? And today I only have to say, bitch, I got a lot of masks and I don't really give a shit about the camera quality. You've all seen my face. So at this point, who gives a shit? Friends. We all got friends. I don't need friends, I got bros. And I got more bitches than hoes, one might say. My dick has been more places than fucking Marco Polo. And by places I mean more women. Over the course of our lives we switched through a lot of friend groups. And you may be having friend groups in like the online world, or you might be having friends in real life. If you're watching this, you have no fucking life, I believe. And one of the things today that many people struggle with are friendships and finding people you could relate to. As for myself, I was always very introverted, and ever since like the primary or elementary school, I had little to no friends, to be honest. I became more socialized in like high school and shit, but I never had a really long-lasting friend group. Like, they all would overlap each other. Like, there was this one gaming group I had with like my IRL friends. Well, they were all younger than me because I was the oldest guy in there. And we all played CS together. And then when we came to high school, everyone just sort of went their own separate ways. And they went to different high schools, and no one went there with me. So that friend group fell apart because nobody had time anymore to just hang out or play games. It was also because many of the ways that we used to interact with each other also rapidly changed, because when you were like 10 to 13 or 14, we were hanging out together at least 4 times a week. It was like a lot. We were hanging out a lot together. And when we played some games, it was usually when we hang out together. It wasn't like we were gonna do some shit like online gaming or playing Counter-Strike together. That was the first group that ended for me. In high school, I had way more classmates, I had way more friends, but I didn't have like a true friend. Like, that was one of the issues. I didn't have like a really good friend group because the online world was starting to get more prevalent. And I don't see this as something like, oh, ever since social medias came, they were ruining everyone. I think that really the downfall of society started around 2014. That was like the last good year in the world, because after I came to like high school, social media got really big and it absolutely destroyed the way we interact with each other. But more on that later on. As for my university life, I couldn't relate to anyone there because in the university I study at, most people don't really... we create like smaller groups that intersect with each other, but the main problem with university I see is that they aren't organized in a way where people could really create permanent friend groups, because you go to different classes, you sign up for different classes to get enough credits, and even with the classmates that study in the same field that study as you, you don't really have that much in common. And I had multiple online gaming groups with multiple people that I've met in like Twitch chats or in like video game lobbies, and they were all like better friends than IRL friends. I don't want to offend anyone that I know personally or that I've known from like school, but I find that these people that I've been playing video games with have been not better friends, but they were more present, because they all came around the time around a difficult time in my life, because I was never really that rebellious teenager. I had a, I would say, delayed teenagehood. I never really had that big rebellion phase. I mean, I listened to metal, I listened to rap, but I never really felt the need to like fuck around and do drugs and go out drinking. I've been out drinking like 3 times in my entire life, I think. Yeah, like, I'm an introvert. That's what I'm trying to say here. And it's not like because of my introvertedness I would have difficulty socializing. I don't have difficulty socializing. I never really dated, as when I was 18 I had my first girlfriend and we broke up after 3 years, which was like in 2021. And it was after the lockdowns ended, I believe, like in my country. And before that point, I never really I was maybe texting girls. I was trying to start something, but it never really was that serious. I had like 2 semi-relationships, you could say, before that point, and airing this out on the internet may be for some of you a little too personal. In some of my older videos on this channel, you may be able to see some videos that include other people like Left 4 Dead or Pummel Party, and these videos were made with people that I used to game with. The friend group, that friend group was changing a lot over the years. There was like 2 or 3 of us in that friend group that were a permanent fixture of it and like the core. But over the years I was talking to them, then I stopped talking to them, then I started talking to them, and it was just complicated. And all of these videos on this channel that include other people were recorded in late 2020, early 2023 period, I believe. I don't remember now. All of these videos were recorded in like that 3-year period. And I don't talk anymore to these people. Like, I'm still in a Discord server with them, and hello everyone. But the problem here is that they are all into League of Legends, and I've been playing that game since I was like 14, or 13. But the problem with this game that I see is that I don't really get the game. Even though I've been playing it on and off for like 10 years, I don't really understand that game. Like, my mind can't fucking learn it whenever I try to. Like, all the builds, or what all the different champions do, and it like takes up most of your fucking time. And I want to play other games. I've got big fucking Steam library that I got through Steam sales, and I want to get through that instead of playing a single fucking multiplayer game for like 5 hours every day. I've got shit to do. I got a fucking guitar. I'ma play a fucking riff right now. Okay, that would be enough for that, because I'm not gonna be able to stop myself with my ADHD. Where the fuck was I going with that? I don't really like League of Legends because it just takes up too much of your time. And I don't have the fucking nerve, I don't have the skill to learn that game. So, yeah, I stopped playing that game. This is not a sweat. I just finished my exercises. I had a chest day, and it's just like I got out of the shower. Yeah, I love rambling about useless shit. I have ADHD, and I used to have a lot of mental health issues, which includes like depression, anxiety. I suffer with all that good shit, you know, all that shit people like liberals, or like these, not liberals, but these like blue-haired girls put into their bios to differentiate themselves because they have nothing more going on about their lives. They realize they don't have nothing fucking interesting about their lives, so instead of being actually an interesting person and doing something interesting with their lives, they all just they have their mental issues as their personality, and that's it. And my mental health was always sort of trash. I sort of started having mental health issues when I was 14 years old. And my mental health was always trash since my parents got divorced when I was 6 and when I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 4. And back then ADHD wasn't really overdiagnosed. It was really just... it was really rare back then, I would say. I don't know, really. But back then around me, maybe it's because I went to Catholic primary school or elementary school for you Burgerlanders, but I was the only integrated kid, or the only kid with ADHD that I knew. Like a lot of men are just dealing with this shit where they don't have any fatherly figure in their life, and I'm like the prime example of that. And everything that's really wrong with me is what is wrong with society. I'm using myself right now as a prime example because I've seen all this shit and I've observed all this shit happening. But yeah, young men not having any father figures is why people like Andrew Tate or all these like alpha male gurus, that's why people gravitate towards them, because they had no father figures, or maybe they had but their dad was a pussy. Yeah, your dad's a pussy. A lot of us, as a result of this, a lot of us struggle with mental health issues. Like, many people in this generation, in Gen Z, are just outright depressed. Many of us suffer with anxiety. Many of us suffer with a wide range of mental health issues. And it's not bad to talk about your mental health issues, but the problem is that nowadays we mostly talk about these problems in our lives on the internet. And it creates these sorts of echo chambers where their worst fears are reinforced, and internet really fucked up mental health as well. Not just mine, but of the humanity overall, because everyone is like, oh, I'm so fucking sad, or we are talking about depression constantly. And I think that talking about depression so much is detrimental, because everyone is like, oh, we should not stigmatize mental health. And yeah, it should not be stigmatized, and you should be able to talk about your mental health, but you should talk about your mental health with a fucking professional. Like, don't just go on the internet and be like, oh my fucking god, my life is so fucking sad. Like, everyone fucking hates me, I got no fucking friends. And you might be thinking, Randy, isn't that shit exactly what you're doing right now? And I'm not here to cry about my own issues in my life. There may be many. But I'm using these issues as an example of what's wrong with modern society. Because I think of myself like the average loner of today's society. I had issues with depression, with anxiety, with suicidal ideation. It just confirms that in the modern age of social media, you may be surrounded with people, you may be having a lot of people, but you still may experience these issues. I have a big stomach. And right now, if I had to say what my social situation is like, I have no hoes, I have no bros, and I have no friends. I don't game with people. The first time we broke up, it was hard on me, and I had to go to therapy for like 6 months afterwards. After I was done with therapy, it was like I'm back with my friends and we're recording videos again together, and then I got back together with my ex because I wasn't talking to those people anymore. It was sort of a situationship and it ended badly. I had really no one, and I was trying to hang on to her because it was like the last thing in my life. And it wasn't like out of desperation, it was because, oh yeah, let's see where this goes. And yeah, it ended badly, and afterwards I realized that I have no friends. Like, even the gaming group that I recorded those videos with and I said that I don't play with anymore because they all fucking play League of Legends. I don't even talk to them. I don't fucking talk to anyone, and it's like, I'm not sad that I'm all alone, but I also feel like I miss having friends. What I feel depressed about is that I literally don't talk to anyone. I come home from school or from work, and it's just like there's no one fucking here. You know, it's just me. It's just me alone in my room, and there's thousands and millions of people like me. And I never really learned how to approach women or how to approach people, because it's always sort of making friends always sort of came naturally to me, and it was never really a process I had to learn. And only when I became alone like this, that it was a problem. I never really could have related to my coworkers either, because I have little in common with most of them. It's not just about the community or something like that, because nobody nowadays really has a community. Online communities don't fucking count, because most of the online communities are just focused on one interest. What I'm focusing on is like a group of people living near each other that have most of their interests shared. I feel like because of my mental health issues and the way I live, I fell behind, because people my age already have kids, already are getting married. Like the friends I knew that were like hardcore kush smokers, they have now kids. Like the hardest party animals, the biggest alcoholics from high school, they all like are married, have regular jobs, don't even go to universities, and I'm sitting here like this is my life now. Like this channel, like this shit that you see here, this is like it's hard to not feel like a failure, you know? And I feel like I fell behind in life in that regard, because I don't have no friends, and I'm like 24 years old, and like what the fuck are you doing? Did you just wake up, exercise, maybe do some creative stuff, go to work, go to school, and go to sleep, and do it all over again? And it's like my university and my really young adulthood is going to end next year, when I hopefully graduate from university, and I will be like a full-fledged adult. And I'm sitting here, no girlfriend, no hoes, no bitches, no bros, no shooters, no nothing. I don't really feel the need like I need to socialize, because it's not just because I forgot how to make friends. I never really knew how to make friends, as I said. It always came natural to me, as I've said. And now when I try to make friends, or when I try to interact with someone over the internet, it's just like I'm just fucking annoyed by people. Like, people are fucking annoying to me. Socializing became so hard, especially after the virus, because everyone just got locked in their homes and no one could hang out IRL, and we all had to like figure out how to restart society after 2 years, basically. Coronavirus killed everything social that was happening in real life, and not having that shit for 2 years, it's like, it fucks up people. And I'm really scared for Gen Alpha, because they are teenagers now. They're like, deal with that shit, right? Like, people born after 2010, they are 14 now. I was 14 10 years ago. Like, time is passing by more quickly, and I'm really scared for the younger generations, because Gen Alpha is going to have it hard. They will adapt to the social media landscape, and maybe we will see with Gen Alpha the fact that they will start slowly gravitating back towards the old ways that people used to hang out, and maybe they will learn or figure out this shit with social medias on how to properly use them, because we as Generation Z, we were born at the end of IRL hanging out. When we became teenagers at like 12, 13 years old, that's when we started getting these social medias. And that's where we really started having social medias be as prevalent as they are now. And that's the problem with everything, because we weren't prepared for this, and we had to figure this shit out on our own. And like, Gerbert Johnson really talks about these issues, but I'm trying to just throw out everything that I'm thinking about here. But this point is directly copied from Gerbert, but
like the older generations were right when they said put down the phone, don't spend so much time on the social medias. Because, yeah, they were just fucking right. You have to admit this. Those people were just right. Your parents were right about you not spending so much time on your fucking phone. You fucking regret that now, probably because you're like me, you have no friends. And we were kids before everyone really started having smartphones with constant internet access everywhere in the world, but we turned teenagers when we finally got them, and we just don't know how to deal with this because we are the first generation that experienced the communal lifestyle mainly through the internet, and that's what I've said about the online communities. You got these sites like Facebook where you have groups, you have Discord, you have fucking Twitch, you've got Reddit, like the cesspit of the internet, and that's how we experience community nowadays. Like millennials before us, they are like full-fledged adults now. They are like somewhere in the range of 28, 29 up to anywhere like around 40. They are full adults now. They are not like youngsters, the hip youngsters or the teenagers. They are now the fucking adults. They are guiding the world now, and Generation X is everyone in there is like 50 or something, and they are becoming like the lower or they are becoming like the older generation. And millennials were really the last ones that had communities, like regular old ass communities where you could hang out, where you all had similar interests. And even millennials had internet access, but the problems with millennials are that their social medias were much more rudimentary, and they didn't have constant internet access. They had to come home to a computer and do shit on computer to be able to go on social media, and it was really inconvenient. The old social media like MySpace, they were really inconvenient, and you couldn't just walk around with a phone in your pocket that had internet access everywhere you go. And the problem with that is that we're the first generation that had this unlimited access to internet, and that's why I mentioned social medias earlier, because it really fucked everything up. Another thing is that internet brought us constant stimulation. It brought us a lot of new shit, but the problem with internet is that it gave us also interests that are too fucking obscure. Like, what kind of a fucking real person just cares about half this shit I care about? Like, no one. Like, it's like maybe you're going to interest a couple of thousands of people at best, or maybe millions if you're really lucky, but there are 7.5 or like 8 billion people on the planet right now. If you're feeling lonely in the modern age, you should really look at your interest and what you're interested in, because that can tell you a lot about why you don't have nothing in common with people. If you feel like you're lonely, you should really examine your interests and think about, well, does anybody really care about this shit? Does anybody really care this much about anime? Does anybody really care that much about, I don't know, video games? Or some shit that you're interested in, or in writing, or music production, or something like that? I noticed that the regular lifestyle of regular people and everyone who isn't as chronically online as the loners like me, these lives seem way too boring and senseless to us because we are used to constant stimulation on the internet and on the computer, and that's why we see those lives as boring and senseless, because they don't have a constant stimulation. And if you're like a regular person, you might be suffering with mental health issues, but regular people don't have these issues as much as people who are terminally online, or like people like me, like the internet loners or doomers and such. I too find the regular lives of people outside of the internet boring as shit, because it's like, what the fuck are you fucking doing out there? It's like, what the fuck are you people talking about? Whether how you were drinking last week, what show you watched, how you saw someone shit themselves on public transport, how... And the question is, how do you socialize in this day and age when you have nothing in common with the people you meet in real life? It's really simple. you become a fucking normie. You have to be a normie, you need to stop caring about this shit. You need to stop caring about video games so much. Because if you suffer from these issues that I've described about myself, you need to start giving less of a shit about video games and your obscure interests. You need to normalize yourself. Normies don't really think about this shit that I'm talking about here because they have regular lives. They aren't overstimulated that much. Maybe some of us are more intelligent, like the outsiders, and that's just maybe. And ignorance is really bliss in this case. I think that regular people, like normies, are way happier exactly because they don't really care about these issues because they don't know that these issues exist. They don't have communities as well, but at least it doesn't hurt them because they don't know that they don't have communities. And in this day and age, another issue that I've seen in terms of having no friends or having no host, to be exact, because we are fatherless, then that means that no one really could teach us. We don't really have the support structure around us as loners that where someone could teach us how to approach women. And it's like I stopped giving a fuck and like stressing about like, oh, what the fuck am I gonna say to her? Like, it's just like, if I like her and if we can converse naturally, then it's alright, but if we can't, who cares? If we have nothing to talk about, then it's bound to end anyways. Another thing that makes the dating scene worse is that we all keep hearing these stories about toxic relationships and toxic people, and dating apps are the fucking worst because we judge on looks and not on how we build up that connection. Because think for yourself, or think about how many women you've scrolled through. It's like, how many of them were sort of okay, but you were like, maybe I wouldn't want people to see her with me, but maybe it was just she had bad photos or he had bad photos, and in real life you might have made a really good couple. You know, you might have been a really good couple with that person, but yeah, they had slightly bad photos on their dating profile, so like, left swipe. It's easier for me to approach someone in real life because it forces you to act quickly, but the problem with this is that most people nowadays just fucking hate approaching other people in real life. It's like when you approach someone at the bar, you're like a creep. And this wraps around to that thing I was saying about like toxic relationships, and like everyone just perceives everyone like a creep. Everyone like I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. Online communication is awkward, and all this online shit really made everything worse because we all keep seeing these negative examples, but it's like this negative engagement on social media is what really gains clicks, and that's the problem. Like, negativity draws attention. It's like all this bad shit we see and think about dating scene nowadays. It's like extreme cases that happen in like 5% of the time at best. And it's like we all see that shit and we generalize that to the overall dating landscape, but it's not like that. Like, for women, not all women just see you as walking fleshlights and dishwashers and sandwich makers, and for men, most women don't see you as wallets, and most women don't really want you to be like 9 feet tall and have a 1 foot dick. But you know, the internet doesn't tell that to you because shitting on other people and shitting on the opposite gender just really creates engagement baits. It's all engagement baits. Like, that's all it really fucking is. Like, stop being a fucking pussy, don't be a fucking chauvinist, don't be a misandrist, just be a regular ass person, don't be racist. Of course, like, only bold statements on this channel. And it's not that hard. Dating is really not that hard. But you're overthinking shit, basically. Every loner is overthinking shit, including me. I'm overthinking shit too right now. It's been like, what, 50 minutes that I've been talking into the fucking camera. I wonder which camera stops recording first. Everyone in here, if you're watching this video, you're probably overthinking this shit because this video is from an obscure channel, and who the fuck watches this shit? Really? If you're here, then you probably have no life. I'm just joking. Maybe YouTube recommended this video to you. A lot of these insecurities come from internet, and especially all the male insecurities, because I don't know that much about the female perspective, but most of the male insecurities come from watching too much corn, too much of that slap material. Y'all keep constantly jerking off. Like, stop jerking off. It's not that hard. I had problems with porn as well. I'm gonna be clear on that. I had problems with porn as well. A lot of these insecurities come in men, especially in terms of sexual performance, come from porn, because it makes us feel inadequate, because the men in porn have larger dick. They look better than most of the people. But the problem with porn is that they choose only people that look better than an average person. It's like all these porn actors are like in the top 5 or maybe top 3% of the most good looking people. Maybe in like 5% range, that's the better one. But most of the porn actors are like selected, and they had plastic surgeries done, and there was like this whole thing about bionic dicks. Like, that's real. Like, porn actors that fuck way too much, they need to get like a surgery to get like a pump in their dick to get hard, because not even Viagra works for them anymore. And because of that, many young people or many young men don't even want to date, because they think that women just want like a foot-long dick on a man, and they got like 5 inches or 6 inches tops. That just perpetuates all these stereotypes and like all the sexist stereotypes from men towards women mainly. All this like free lifestyle, or this like sex, the society is too much sex crazed. I think like we care about sex way too much. We should stop like all this porn industry shit. We should stop caring about it. And because of all these negative influences that I was talking about, many young people are really opting out of marriage or having kids altogether, because they see how the previous generations were fucking up in these areas. Like, the divorce rates are through the roof, and everyone, like the older men, like millennials and Gen X, everyone was abandoning their kids, or the women were winning the custody battles most of the time. So men don't even really fight for their kids in custody battles, because they believe like, oh, they're just gonna give her the kids anyways because she's a woman. It's really all these negative stereotypes that are fucking up the regular lives. I mean, I don't want to say that you need to be 100% married in the church, or that you fucking need to be married at all. I mean, it's better in some cases, like for certain financial things, to get married. I think like modern marriage is really fucked, because like the traditional family, what the conservatives like to call the traditional family, like before that we had, like, in terms of communities and all this dating shit, we used to have like areas or a few houses along each other that had families, and we had these communities. And then the Industrial Revolution came, and suddenly there was the atomic family, and now even those families are falling apart. Like, there's maybe like one parent, or like 2 parents and 1 kid, and they don't really have that many friends. And it was like, back then it used to have like you used to have this entire community of people around you, and you had all these friends when like the atomic family became really prevalent. But even then you had these like local communities that of people that were helping each other in like suburbs or whatever the fuck. Mainly this dating shit now is through dating apps. Like, most of the people I talk to, they all met their partners through like dating apps. And the thing is that in the past we used to meet either through friends, or like someone lived nearby in the same village or in the same suburb. You were like, let's go out, or in school. Like, no, that all shit doesn't happen anymore. It's mostly just social medias. Problem with dating apps is that they financially exploit men. It was like confirmed, like they are exploitative towards men, because men are more desperate. Like 70% of the women on dating apps, like in terms of looks, like if you took 2 scales and were like, here are the top looking women on dating apps, here are the worst looking women on dating apps, and here are the men, in the same way, then it was something like 60 or 70%, I believe, of women were chasing only the top 10% or the top 5% or whatever the fuck. And most men aren't even competing for the good-looking women, besides the like really best-looking men, because we men lack that confidence. Dating apps created this, like, the market of desperation, I would call it, where men are forced to pay more money than women because they created more desperate men, and it was social engineering all along. It was just that shit. So yeah, nobody knows how to talk to anyone. No, there are no IRL communities. Men and women hate each other. There are many underlying issues between the two sexes, and that I'm not gonna get into here because it would be like a full-fledged study, and it would have to be like series on Netflix and shit. But you know all about these issues. There are many people posting about them on social media, so it's not that hard to find what these issues are. I think that social media, as I've said here many times, like the social media and the internet is the root cause of all of these problems. Dating apps are making shit even worse, because now it's the main way to meet a mate. Nobody is making friends anymore. Nobody knows how to really talk to people. There are normies who have more problems with dating than finding friends. Like, if you're a normie, you may be having a lot of friends, but you don't really know how to get bitches. And yeah, I think that social media is the root cause of all the problems in the modern world. Everyone just hates everyone. We are so like polarized. Before everything like this modern social media age, everyone was more around other people, and now it's just like us versus them mentality all around. We are less socialized. We are more judgmental. Everyone keeps reinforcing the negative stereotypes about the opposite side, and no one really wants to talk to anyone because it's like everyone hates me or everyone is annoyed by other people. Companies running social media push this shit that destroys modern society because they want us to stay on social medias and they want to keep us engaged. And what's the fucking reason behind this? Well, it's advertising, and these social medias do everything they can to keep you on these websites, and that's why the whole ad block wars are happening, and why there's ads fucking everywhere and pop-up ads and shit. And because everyone just wants you to stay on social medias because they want you to watch ads. The social medias are the root cause of the problem, but that root cause of the problem is being perpetuated by the powers to be because they get fucking paid. That's the whole fucking thing. Like, this, all of this shit is really happening because someone wanted more money from ads on Facebook and on YouTube and whatever the fuck else. Everyone just wanted to make more money, and the dating market is getting destroyed exactly because of this, because it's like you can't go back and match and right swipe on that person because, hey, you need to pay us fucking money for every fucking single basic feature you think should be for free, but in reality you need to pay for that shit. What is the fucking solution to all of these problems? Like, yeah, world runs on money, no shit, Randy, but how do we solve all of these issues? Like, how do we get people to hang out IRL again? There are really 2 or 3 solutions here. Either we all as a society just decide to stop using social media and the advertising moves somewhere else. The second option would be to just get the social medias disabled altogether, like completely fucking banned. And the middle of the road solution would be where something like UN or some council meets, like World Economic Forum or whatever the fuck. Like, they meet and they say, like, we need to severely limit social medias because it fucks everything up. Like, minimal advertising, really basic social medias. And yeah, I'm aware that as a society, maybe Gen Alpha will self-correct and they will start using the social media properly without it necessarily destroying the society. But as time passes, I'm more convinced that the best option is the radical one, where we just fucking disable social media. And you might be thinking, like, Randy, are you like an eco-terrorist now? Like, I don't really believe that the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been bad, but as people, the society is getting exploited by like the top 5% or by like the rich people. And as time passes, I'm convinced that the radical option of just having all these social medias be completely dissolved is the best. And over the time, what I've noticed, it was like this observation, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but whether it was the Industrial Revolution, or whether it was the atomization of society, or whether it was women getting into the workforce, or whether it was all this social media shit, it's always the powerful people that want to make more money that fuck up the society. By me mentioning women getting into workforce, I don't mean that in a chauvinistic way. Like, obviously, I grew up with 2 women, so I know how hard it can be for them. The problem with that is that giving women their rights wasn't really based on the fact that women deserve to have their rights, be it reproductive or basic human rights. Like, they are human beings, fucking learn that. But the problem with that was that the powers to be that allowed women to get into workforce didn't want to do so because of human rights issues. It was because they just wanted to make more fucking money. They wanted more people to pay taxes. They wanted more people to buy shit. They wanted more people to pay loans. And when men were just the sole breadwinners and families, it was like they couldn't advertise as hard. Suddenly, women were asking for rights. And the powers to be decided that, you know what, we're gonna give you rights, but we're gonna turn you into consumers. Because when did women really start getting their rights? It was around the time where like we switched from the old communities before that used to exist before the First World War or before the Second World War, and we came into like the post-war world. Like, there was this quote that I've seen that said the First World War was the old world having its last breath and dying, and World War II was the new world having its first gasps of air. And I agree with that. Communities after the Second World War became communities of nuclear families, and that happened because the powers to be needed them to move into like apartment buildings, and they needed them to consume more and more, right? And even with all this LGBT shit, why I'm not a liberal and why I don't really support LGBT in current form as it is, because all of these fucking big companies for like the entirety of June, they put on their fucking pride flags just so that queer people buy their shit. Like, you would be supporting gay people all year round, not just like the 1 month through the year. I'm not saying they should change their logos, but it's like, it always comes off as posturing so that gay people or like the self-conscious people just buy their shit. And everything I've mentioned in today's video, it always comes back to the rich people. It always comes back to these people that want to make money off you. Like, porn industry wants to make money off you. Dating apps want to make money off you. Social medias want to make money off you, and they can't make money off you unless they get you to consume their content more. And unless you stick around more. It makes them fucking money. And that shit destroys society. That destroys communities. That destroys friendships. That destroys mental health. It's always greed. It's greed that's destroying this world. And is creating all these mental health issues and insecurities. But yeah, that's just about everything I wanted to say. Thanks to Gerbert Johnson for the video idea. I stole this format from him. Like, at this point, this entire channel is just me stealing ideas from other YouTubers. But yeah, that will be it. Bye.